If you are someone who goes all in, all out, or you are constantly having an internal conflict where one part of you wants something and the other part of you wants something else, and you consistently have an internal battle between these two parts, then we're going to break that pattern today. I'm going to give you the biggest perspective shift on the all or nothing mindset that you won't even call it the all or nothing mindset by the end of today. It's absolutely unbelievable, and I don't know how the whole world does not know about it. The all or nothing mindset is literally just a concept that people have placed on the idea that two parts of you are in conflict. So you have the part of you that wants to lose weight, you're on it, you tick all the boxes, you get up early, you listen to podcasts, you eat perfectly, like everything is perfect for a period of time, and then all of a sudden self-sabotage will come in and boom, you're out, you're in the nothing. You scroll, you self-sabotage, you eat whatever you want, you procrastinate, you tell yourself you don't care, you say, I can't be bothered for anything, I'm lazy, I'm this, I'm that, and then you go to the other end of the extreme. That is because there are two parts of you that literally want two different things, but you don't know about that yet. And your subconscious mind has literally split in your mind two ways of getting you happiness. So you know that when you eat chocolate and you eat rubbish, it is an immediate way to bring you some happiness, some comfort, some pleasure. But you also know that when you're on top of things and you're on top of your goals, you are also very happy and you feel amazing. So your subconscious mind has learned that there are two ways that give you happiness, but they are in conflict towards the end goal. So I'm going to give you another example. Take someone who is really ambitious, really on it, but they have a guilty pleasure of having fun, or maybe they're a bit of a party animal, or maybe they just have this like desire to just have pleasure, to just experience pleasure, to experience fun, to go on holiday and just do nothing. Maybe there's a part of them that really wants that. They won't let themselves have that because they'll judge themselves. Or take someone who wants to be wildly successful and they want to spend all the hours in the office, they want to spend all the hours doing things, but then they have another part of them that would just love to spend time with the family, or they would just love to take some time off, or they would just love to have more time for themselves, or they would just love to go and get a coffee and do whatever they want without having this rigid schedule. That is an internal conflict. There is like this part of you that's pulling you in an opposite direction to what you are currently doing. So before we get into it, I want you to ask yourself, what is the biggest internal conflict or all or nothing mindset pattern that you are experiencing right now? It could be with your fitness, where you're on it and then you're not, you're on it, you're not, and you're on it, you're not. And at the moment, you're probably wanting to give up because it's just a lot of effort to keep up that cycle. And you tell yourself stories that, you're not someone who can achieve that goal. But once you realize this, you'll realize that you are, but there's just this part of you that's playing a sneaky little role. Or let's just say that you have an internal conflict where one part of you wants more success, but then another part of you wants to have more freedom, have more fun, or have time with your family or time for yourself. Or let's just say that you have an internal conflict about one part of you wants this style of business or this style of life, but then another part of you is like, but I want this style of life or this environment or this type of lifestyle, and you're in this internal conflict. Okay, so write it down. One part of me wants this, one part of me goes all in on this, and then I stop going all in this, and then the other part of me wants all of that. Now, if you visualize these two parts of you, these two versions of you, if you visualize the part of you that is on it with their goals versus the part of you that's not and sits on the sofa and scrolls, if you think about those two different versions of you, where do you literally see them in your mind when you picture them? So for example, one could be over here, she's on it, she's the on top version, and then the other version of me is sitting on the sofa, scrolling, not doing anything. So before you even try and get over the all or nothing mindset, can you literally see how these in your mind are literally two different versions of you? Like you visually see these two versions of you as separate, not as one. And that is why you can't stop going out of the all or nothing mindset, is because in your mind, they are two separate things. So you go in on one, out on the other, in on one, out on the other. They're not a whole, they're not a whole part of you. And that's the issue. So the first issue is the fact that you see them as visually separate. They are visually separate. They're like two different characters, two different versions of you, like Jekyll and Hyde. Like one of you is like the good one on it, and then the other one's like the procrastinator, the scroller, the lazy one. So this is a slight issue because your subconscious mind is visually seeing them as separate. So that means they're already registering in your subconscious as two separate parts of you, two separate beings, almost two separate versions. So what we want to do with the all or nothing mindset is you want to get to understand these two versions of you as if they are separate from you. So I'm Katie, my name's Katie, and then I have the on top part of me that's on it. She ticks the boxes, she doesn't miss, she is up early, she will get there, she doesn't care about anything, she doesn't care about social life, she doesn't care about eating crap, she doesn't care about resting, she doesn't care about this, right? That is the on top version, if I was going to use as an example. Then, when that version is burnt out or had its moment, it's finished, can't keep up that forever, we know that. Then in comes maybe the Katie that wants to just eat what she wants. She wants to eat a takeaway. She wants to sit and scroll. She wants to procrastinate. She's a bit tired. She's a bit exhausted. She tells herself that she doesn't care about anything. So you want to get to know these two versions of you. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to understand actually why these two versions are here. Why do you have this part of you that wants to be on it? And why do you have this version of you that wants to sit on the sofa? Remember what I said about the subconscious mind is that you won't do anything unless you're gaining something from it. So there is something that you are gaining from both of these parts of you. Or for example, the part of you that is on it, successful, but then the other part of you wants to spend time with your family or wants to have fun. And there is something that they're both gaining for you. And that's what we need to find out. So when you've got your all or nothing, you've got your two parts, you've got your two versions of you that are visually separate, they're not together, they're not integrated, they're not a whole. What I want you to do is take one of the parts. So let's just go with the on top, successful or whatever yours is. And I want you to ask yourself, why is it here? Like why does it want you to be on top? Like what is the actual intention of this version of you? So being on it, smashing your goals, ticking your boxes, what is the intention of that? Like why is it even a part of you? Literally, why is it a part of you? And you might say something like, okay, well, it wants me to make progress. It wants me to look good. It wants me to have a wildly successful life. It wants me to achieve my potential. Okay, but why? Why does it want that for you? Like, what is the reason that this part is getting you to go all in? What's the reason for that? Okay, so it wants me to be successful. Okay, why? Because then I'll achieve my full potential. Okay, why? Because then I'll get to experience freedom, or I'll get to experience a life filled of success and because then I'll get to experience this life that I've always dreamed of. Okay, how are you going to be feeling when you've experienced this life that you've always dreamed of? Okay, I'm going to be feeling like joy. I'm going to be feeling like excited, free. I'm going to be feeling confident. Okay, how else might you be feeling? Well, I might feel happy. So this desire to make progress, this desire to be on it all the time and go all in, it's not just about the progress, it's about what the progress will bring you and what feeling those results will bring you. So it's going to bring you happiness. Okay, so now we know what that part is actually doing for you. Like, why is it actually here? Yes, it wants you to make progress, but it's something deeper than that. The why is deeper than that. It doesn't just want you to make money. Why does it want you to make money? So you can live a life full of freedom, so you can have fun. Okay, why does it want that? So you can feel happy, you can feel excited, you can feel fulfilled. Okay, so that is the feeling that this high achiever part of you is chasing. Fulfillment, happiness, excitement, joy, whatever words you want to use. Okay, so now we know it. Now we know that this is just one version of you. This is one part of you. You have many different parts of you. And we know that when this part runs 100% for the rest of your life, it is actually impossible, because if we let this part of you run 100% for the rest of your life, you'd be dead. You'd be absolutely dead. You would be burnt out. You'd be on the floor. You'd be exhausted, because this part never gives you a break. You never have a break. When you are on it, you are on it. Nothing is stopping you. You don't care about family. You don't care about free time. You don't care about downtime. You don't care about anything else. You just have that goal in mind, and that is what you want. And that is brilliant. And it is incredible. However, we always know that eventually you'll resort to the flip side. And the flip side is the one that you judge. But after this, what I want you to realize is that there is nothing to judge about this part. And when you do this, it will change profoundly how you show up and operate. So let's go to the other part of you, the part of you that's the nothing. So you've gone all in and now you're in the nothing. You're not doing anything, you're scrolling, you're self-sabotaging, or you're having too much free time, or you're having too much time off, or you're having too much chocolate, too much takeaways, too much scrolling, too much procrastinating. Like, it is the other end of the pendulum. Like, this one is like the extreme, this one's the other extreme. There is no in the middle at the moment. This is part of you because it's coming in. So let's see why it's here. Because why is it coming in? Why is it stopping you from continuing going all in? Okay, let's have a look. So when you scroll and you procrastinate, the behaviours are terrible. I agree. Scrolling, procrastinating, not helpful. But why are we doing that? Why are you scrolling? You've just gone all in for 6 to 8 weeks, and now you're procrastinating, or you're self-sabotaging, or you're eating crap. Why are you doing that? What's the reason? Okay, because that forces you to stop. Because when we're in the all, we don't stop. Okay, so it forces you to stop. Why does this part want you to stop? You'll get so frustrated. You're like, why am I self-sabotaging? Why am I procrastinating? Why does this part want me to stop? Okay, well, if we were looking at it positively, I know you don't, you judge it, you say it's lazy, whatever, but let's just look at it positively. Just give it a go, right? Okay, why does it stop? Okay, when you have a break, why does it want you to have a break? Why does this part that's getting you to scroll, self-sabotage, eat crap, want you to have a break from this all life that's going to bring you the success? Because it wants me to re-energize. Okay, when you re-energize, what happens? Well, then I feel better. Okay, when you feel better, then what happens? Well, then I can make progress. I can show up for myself. Okay, and then what happens? Then I start achieving things. I start accomplishing things. Okay, what happens then? Well, I start achieving my full potential and I get to go all in again. So this part is actually helping the same goal that this part has, but you just don't realize it. This part of you, although the behaviours are so unhelpful, and I agree, you should not, your timeout should not be through scrolling and procrastinating, and we're going to get into this in a minute, but this part of you is trying to say, wake up, if you carry on, you're going to burn out and then you won't achieve your goals. Or wake up, if you carry on, you will lose time with your family who are very important to you as well. Or wake up, if you carry on, you won't even be able to enjoy the process. You'll have all the success, but you'll have no fun. This part is ringing alarm bells in you and saying, hello, I also care about your happiness. I also care about other areas of your life. And I also care about you. I care about getting you re-energized. I care about you having free time with your family. I care about you having time with your friends. I also want you to be happy and I also want you to achieve your goals. Now, if you were to now say, okay, this part is now actually helping me, because when we're all in, there's no stopping. So if this part is actually helping me achieve my goals, then how can we actually start to bring in this part in more helpful ways? Because I totally am against procrastinating and scrolling as a way to have a break. It's a load of rubbish, and there's no wonder why you call yourself lazy. Like, fair enough. But it's unfair to call this part of you lazy, because this part is trying to help you and this part is working towards the same goal of happiness that this part has. If you think that when you are going to be successful, you're going to be happy, but then you have another part that's like, well, when you have fun and when you have time off with your family, that also makes you happy, they're actually then both working to the end goal of happiness, of true happiness. And I'll give you an example. When you are on it and then you add in some time for going out for dinner, let's say you've been on it all week and then on the Saturday night you go out for dinner with your friends and you have a really good night, how happy are you at the end of the week? I bet you are 10x happier when you include both. Or for example, let's just say that when you are on it with your diet or whatever you freaking call it, and then you allow yourself a small something nice, how much happier do you feel? How much more sustainable does that feel? Better, right? Because you're allowing both parts of you in. Or let's just say that you are really busy at work and you have a lot of work on, but then you allow yourself time with your kids in the evening, or you allow yourself a date night with your partner. How much better is that day already feeling, physically feeling, and like mentally, how much better do you see that day? You have the incentive to work by the pleasure and the play at the end, right? And that is why you are always happier when you have both. So the part that's really important, now we know that both parts are trying to help you achieve the same goal. This part, you've got to remember, this part doesn't want you to fail. It does not want you to fail. Like the parts of you, the emotion, they don't want you to fail. They're trying to help you. But the more negatively you see them and the more you judge yourself, the worse it is. So if I was to say, right, okay, this part is getting you to re-energize, it's getting you to feel better, it's getting you to have fun, it's getting you to whatever. Instead of going from one extreme to the other, because we know you always do it, and this is the thing, you keep saying, oh, next time I won't do it, next time I won't do it. You will do it again, because they are both parts of you. So instead of going from the swinging pendulum all in to the other all out, what about if you were like, okay, we know that both parts are going to come in, no matter how much you try and control it. When you're burnt out, you're going straight to this part, okay? Or when you are absolutely craving crap because you've been so restrictive, you're going to go all the way to this part. Okay, so they're coming in, we've agreed that, right? How can we have both? How can you have both intermittently so that you never ever have to swing from one extreme to the other? Because if you think of these as two characters, if both are coming in on the journey with you like that, instead of like one's all in, this one's dead, that one's all out, this one's all in, and we're going to that. If you bring them both in, then you would never ever have to swing to each extreme. because both parts are getting what they want along the way. So if you were to say, right, if we could integrate both of these parts of you, so they're now not one's over here, one's over there, and they're completely in the opposite direction. If you were to have both, what would that look like? And here is where the difference is. Here is how you actually have both. You need to change the behaviours of this unhelpful part. So at the moment, it's scrolling, it's procrastinating, it's the extreme. Why don't you bring in intermittent parts, bits of rest in with this part? So you have, I don't know, a break, or you switch off at 7 p.m. and then at 7 p.m. you enjoy your downtime. And then that recharges you, re-energizes you in the week, so you're ready to go again on Thursday. And then you can do it again. And then it's consistent. And then you'd never have to go from burnout to nothing, burnout to nothing, burnout to nothing. You could have both. Or what about with your eating and your diet? Obviously, if you are in an extreme like bodybuilding thing, like that doesn't apply to you. Like if you are in an extreme, like you are literally choosing to be in an extreme for a sport, like that might not apply to you. But why don't, with your diet and stuff like that, you have a bit of both? But you have a bit of both intermittently. So you don't go, oh, I'm going to have this and then I'm going to have 3 takeaways. You go, I'm going to have this and then I'm going to have this small thing that brings me enough pleasure. And then you never go from one extreme to the other. Or why don't I write a realistic to-do list and then plan in time in advance with my friends or with my family, or plan in something fun in advance, so I'm going into the week having this, and there is never a battle between the two. Okay, so anytime that you have an internal conflict, you need to ask yourself, what do both parts want? They are both part of me. You're going to do them even if you try. It's like people, you try and stop them from having fun, they will eventually find a time where they go to the other end of the extreme because they've been so restricted from it. Because it's a big part of them. If you restrict something from someone when it's such a big part of them, they will find a way, and when they get it, they will go to the extreme because their mind is like, well, if we don't have it all now, it will be taken away from us again. Okay, so anytime you have an internal conflict, is find out what both of these parts are trying to help you with. And what you'll find all the time is they're both trying to help you with the end goal of happiness. When I have achieved this, I'm going to be happy. When I spend time with family and friends or have fun, I'm going to be happy. Okay, and when I feel freedom, I'm going to be happy. So both are making you happy, both are making you fulfilled, both are giving you joy, but they're giving you in different ways. And then you want to make sure that both of the behaviours of these parts are helpful and they're serving you to actually achieve the goal, so you can do both. So it's not like, okay, we're going to go all in for 6 weeks and then all out for 3 weeks. Do you know how inconsistent that progress is? Whereas if you have both and you integrate both and you actually understand, instead of calling this part of you lazy, you're like, okay, instead of scrolling, I'm going to have intentional downtime. Instead of eating crap, I'm going to have an intentional nice meal. Or instead of going all out and getting drunk on a weekend, I'm going to have intentional time with my friends. Yeah, and the key is to plan this. The only reason why you're so worried about going all out is because you don't plan it. You don't even acknowledge that these two parts are trying to help you and plan them both in together simultaneously. And then the third point is, then you have to create evidence. You have to create evidence that when you have both, you are happier and you make more progress. When you have both, you are more energized consistently. It's not, I'm energized for 6 weeks and then I'm out of energy for 3 weeks. It's, I'm energized. There's no 6 weeks in. It's, I'm energized for the rest of my life. I'm always energized because I always give both parts what they want, but in a helpful way. I'm not saying go and eat 3 takeaways, go and eat crap, go and scroll. That is not helpful. You have to give this part what it wants, which is energy, feeling better, feeling more on top, feeling re-energized in more helpful ways. So if a sauna does that for you in the morning, then do that. If reading a book instead of scrolling does that for you, then do that. If planned time with your kids or with relationships or whatever, or date night does that, then do it that way. Find ways, or creative or dance or anything that you enjoy, find ways that are helpful, that actually make you happy, because scrolling doesn't make you happy, but the intention of scrolling is to re-energize you, to give you a break, to then make you happy. Okay, does that make sense? If you have any questions down below, please drop them down below, but I'm really hoping this is going to help your mind when it's constantly like this or this or this or this, like the constant internal conflicts. But I'm hoping that's giving you a new perception of those parts, and the best way to solve an internal conflict is to integrate them. Anyone who tells you just choose one and you can't stop thinking about that, you'll be overthinking for ages, or you'll be self-sabotaging, because that is still such a big part of you. So yeah, I will see you in the next video.